Yeah, we do. We are picking up in lesson 4.4, continuing in the notes. I did my virtual attendance, so I was waiting for all you sophomores to get here.
Because you hadn't turned the lights on.
The lights are going off. Well, it gets rid of the glare, although, does that help? Is that okay, guys? It looks really bright for some reason.
It's because I'm a star.
Let's see, maybe once I zoom in, let's see, and then I may have to go with lights back on then. I don't know. It's a day.
I miss my study hall.
Okay, I think that's going to be better. Okay, guys. We are continuing with factoring. What's the first question, if you recall from yesterday, that we should be asking ourselves right here? Is there a GCF? Okay, so we left off yesterday talking about GCF. So, is there a GCF on example C?
Yeah, I have a question. This one sounds dumb, but like, in the ones up there were only like 2. Are we trying to divide from all of them?
If you do a GCF, it has to be in common in all terms.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So, whether there's 2 terms, 3 terms, 10 terms, if it's a GCF, it's in common in all terms. So, with that in mind, GCF here. What are we thinking? 4?
Yeah.
I mean,
not 4x.
Okay, so my first thought is I know there's at least a 2 in common, right? Because they're both even. They're all even. Now, as I look at 4 and 20, I'm like, oh, well, they can at least go 4. So then the key would be, does 56 divide by 4? And it does. Now, Carter made a comment, no x. I'm not going to say 4x this time. No, because
Negative 56.
56 does not have an x. So we are going to factor out a 4, which means I put a 4 in front. If it helps, I don't know, does the visual help of being able to divide me showing the division by 4 here? Okay, if that helps, then that's what we're looking at. And so 4x squared divided by 4 becomes x squared plus 20x divided by 4, 5x, minus 56 divided by 4, 14. Now, after you get a GCF factored out, your question should always be, am I done? Am I done factoring? Or is there more factoring I could be doing?
No way the axis. I don't know.
I think, I like to think we're done, but you wrote it at the top, so I feel like we're not.
Yeah, from the top, I think we're going to draw.
You feel like I left too much space there, so we can't be done. Well, I do give myself away a lot like that.
I think something with the x squared and the 5 because like they both have x.
Okay, I'm going to zoom out for a brief moment. I don't know if my virtual will be able to see, but glance back up at the top of the page. What did we spend most of our time doing yesterday?
The finding like equals 31, 32, 15.
Yeah, I call it product and sum.
Yeah.
Okay, where we were trying to factor into 2 binomial factors. Is there a possibility that x squared plus 5x minus 14 could factor like the top ones did? Yes. So, whether it does or not, it's a whole other issue, but you need to check because there is a chance that it could. So, with that in mind, if it factors, we would have to have 2 numbers that give us a product of what?
5 14.
Negative 14. So I need 2 numbers that multiply to be negative 14 and add to be what?
It's not going to make
Add to be what? 5. So I need numbers that have a product or multiply to be negative 14 and sum or add to be 5. What multiplies to be 14? 1 and 14. 2 and 7.
Oh, negatives. Oh, I know.
Could one of these pairs work?
Yeah.
Negative 2 and 7.
Okay, think about how your signs have to work. If it multiplies to be a negative, your signs are?
The what's it called has to be positive. The bigger number has to be positive.
Okay, so they're opposite, right? One positive, one negative. Because 5 is positive, bigger number is positive, smaller number is negative. Okay, so how do we write this down? This 4 out front. Can I just drop this 4 out front?
No.
No. The 4 out front
I think
carries down. And then realize we're setting up
Oh, the X things.
2 parentheses.
The big X.
X squared breaks into
X plus 7.
x times x. My numbers, one of them is going to be x
Plus 7.
minus 2, and the other is x plus 7.
Easy.
Wow.
Now am I done?
I think.
Okay.
We don't have any more room.
We don't have any more room, so they're declaring me done.
Yeah.
I just need to start writing differently then, not be so predictable, I guess. But, and keep in mind, guys, it's x minus 2, x plus 7. We're down to those binomial factors, right? There's not anything else you can do with those. Okay? Yes.
Is there a way to like flip it around to where we get 4x squared plus 20 minus 20 plus 20x minus 56? Like, is there from our bottom part? Is there a way?
To multiply it back to get to the original
Right,
problem?
right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because you would want to, what you'd want to do is you'd want to FOIL these two back together
Okay.
and then multiply by
4.
4.
Are we gonna do that?
I'm not going to go take my time checking
Okay.
every single one of them, but it is a possibility.
No, I'm saying like, will that be like a question where like we are given this end form, but we have to take it back to?
No, right now we're working on factoring.
Okay.
Okay. Ready to try D?
Sure.
What do you got on D?
9.
He says 9. Meaning there is a
Right out front.
GCF of 9. So, put the 9 out front. That means you're dividing every term by 9. What do we have in the parentheses after we divide by 9? X squared
Plus x minus 2.
Okay, x squared plus x minus 2. Am I done?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, ooh.
No.
Give me a minute. Add to 1.
Maybe you can like divide it by 1 to make the negative 2 simplify.
Is 2 minus 1?
Yeah, he's right. Yes, X, so it's like.
So we're
9.
asking ourselves right here, for those of you who are told there's debate going on in class as they try and figure this out, a product of what? Negative 2, and a sum of
Well, maybe not.
invisible 1.
No, yeah, bro, it's a G. Okay.
So what's the only options of multiplying to be 2?
2 negative 2.
1 times 2. That's your only option for multiplying by 2. So if this is going to work, we have to make this work. Otherwise, we're done where we stand. Jaden?
So is the last one always the P and then
Yes. Your C value down here is always your product, what they multiply to be. The number in front of B, or the B value in front of X, is always your what they add to B. Okay, so if it multiplies to be negative 2, I need a positive and a negative. If it adds to be a positive 1,
We could
this is
do
positive, so larger number is
2
positive. Smaller number is
negative 2.
negative. So I'm going to use negative 1, positive 2. What about this 9 out front?
Keep that.
Keep it. And then we're going 2 parentheses. X squared is x and x. One of those is x minus 1. The other is x plus 2. I guess I boxed it, so I really gave myself away of if we're done or not. That's my other giveaway is if I circle it or box it, you know I'm done. If you watch me long enough, that's my key indicator. I try and ask before I box it, are we done? I just don't always remember.
Don't remember, because then you'll get us to overthink.
Maybe she'll just do that to my
But that's my job as your teacher, to get you guys to overthink. I mean, I have to get you guys to be able to think and explore on your own. Okay, example E. Let's keep moving along. We got lots to do today.
Okay.
4x squared plus 8x plus 12. First question to yourself. He says 4, meaning he's already checked to see, is there a GCF? And the agreement says there's a 4. They all divide by 4. So, if they all divide by 4, what goes in the parentheses? X squared plus 2x plus 3. Oops, I'm kind of off the edge of the screen there, aren't I? Okay, same old question. Am I done?
Yes. Yes.
Wait a minute.
We're done.
Okay, so again, there's differing opinions. What are we checking to decide?
Multiplied by product of 3, sum of 2.
Product of 3, which is right there, right? Sum of 2. What multiplies to be 3?
1 and 3.
Okay. What do we know about signs here? If it multiplies to be a positive
Then both sides are
and adds to be a positive, both signs have to be positive. Does 1 plus 3 give me 2? No. The only way I can get 2 here is if I have 3 minus 1. But am I allowed a negative sign? No, not if it multiplies to be a positive. They're either both positives or both negatives. So this whole product and sum thing, I'm glad we checked, but did it work? No. So what's my final answer?
That is bad. Just square that.
I knew it.
The 4 times x squared plus 2x plus 3.
And it's boxed.
And I boxed it now, so it's official now. Yes.
So if the two things inside that are negative or they're both positive, then you don't change one of those.
I don't understand your question.
So like the stuff in the box, right? If,
Are you talking about in the parentheses?
yeah.
Okay.
So if they're both positives, or if they're both negatives, then like the 1 and 3 down at the bottom, they stay the same.
If they're both positives, they'll both be positives. If these are both negatives, that would actually make it to be 1 positive and 1 negative.
Which one's positive and which one's negative?
It depends on the situation. Okay?
What
We
about
will,
one negative?
huh?
What about 1 negative?
Again, it depends on the situation. You have to look at, okay, so follow along as we do the next one. Okay? And this is where I'm thinking you missed out maybe on some of what we were doing yesterday that was key. Well, okay. Let's look at F, and this will maybe help answer some of your question there. Okay? As we look at F, first question, is there a GCF?
Or no? No.
Yes. Yeah. 1.
Okay.
I like this.
So, number-wise, there's no number in common other than a 1. But what is the catch here?
It's negative.
That x squared has a negative on it, And I'll be honest, when we continue our next factoring step and we're trying to do product and sum, you will never see me factor with a negative x squared. I will always change that first. So we're going to treat this one as a GCF of -1. Okay? By treating this as a GCF of -1, that will help me to be able to complete my next step. So we're going to divide each term by -1. That means I put a -1 out front. And what happens when we divide everything by -1? Yeah, it changes the sign. If it's positive, it becomes negative. If it's negative, it becomes positive. So this becomes positive x squared minus 14x minus 32. Are we okay with that? Okay. As always, the question becomes, are we done? We at least need to investigate, right? Yeah. And I'm much more willing to investigate because it's a positive x squared. I'm confident there. If it's going to factor, I can do x and x. So if it factors, we're going to need a product of what? Negative 32 and a sum of negative 14. Okay, and this kind of takes me back to Jaden's question here.
Oh, I know.
Product of negative 32. What does that mean about the signs if it's a negative product?
They're opposite signs.
Okay, so when we do this, we're going to have some combination of positive negative because this number is a negative, because it multiplies to be a negative. Now, when it adds to be a negative, that means we're going to have the larger number negative, and we'll figure that out when we get there. For the moment, what numbers multiply to be 32? I can say 1 and 32, 2 and 16, 3 does not go, 4 and 8. Carter doesn't like the fact that I kept going. A lot of you don't like the fact that I keep going sometimes, so.
You do you.
I'm doing me. I'm doing me as a teacher. Would I keep going if I was doing this on my own? No. Honestly, if I'm doing this on my own, am I even going to make the list? No, I'm not even going to write the list down if I'm doing this on my own. So I'm doing me, what I have to do as a teacher, though. Or what I feel I need to do as a teacher. How's that? Okay. Did something work?
Yeah. Negative 16 and 2.
Okay. I'm hearing 2 and 16 we can make work. We need a positive and a negative. How do we get 2 and 16 to add to be negative 14?
Negative 16 plus 2.
It's a negative 16 and a positive 2.
Wait.
Meaning the larger number is negative because 14 is negative.
Well, it's absolute bad.
So, when I factor this, first of all, what goes out front? Negative 1. How else could I write that negative 1? You could write a negative. Then we have 2 parentheses.
X minus 16.
X squared is x and x. One of your parentheses is x plus 2, x minus 16. And don't forget there should be a negative or a negative 1 value out front.
We're done. Wait, can we ever move on to that one?
What do you mean?
Like the minus 16.
That's what we're looking for, though, right?
No, you're going to be done right here. Once you get into those 2 parentheses, I mean, unless you goofed up earlier, you didn't get a GCF out, and now you have a GCF, you're going to be done.
We're like
We do have a lot. Yeah. Okay. Questions on that front side?
Yes, so it's 2 or 3 easier. Like A, B, and C or
Oh,
A.
as per most lessons, the difficulty level increases as you move through the lesson. Okay, so we worked with product and sum. First thing we started off with yesterday was 1x squared plus bx plus c, right? Then we threw in the idea of GCFs. And now, notice what we're throwing in now on the back side. It's no longer just x squared plus bx plus c, but ax squared plus bx plus c.
Oh,
Okay, so what we need to talk about now is what to do if there's an a value. Okay, if there's an a value. Because it totally changes things. Now, first question I still want you kind of asking yourselves. Is there a GCF? Is there a GCF as we look at example A here?
1.
Other than 1?
No.
Yeah. By default, the GCF is 1 if nothing else happens. Okay? Yes.
on D on the front page, didn't we have a value?
But then we GCF'd it out.
Oh, these aren't going to GCF out.
I have a question. Couldn't there always be a GCF that like maybe wasn't a whole number, like point something?
The definition of a factor is a whole number. Okay, so yeah, you'll never have an official GCF. A factor has to be whole numbers. So, okay, and part of the other question, trying to fill in some of my virtual people out there, is that Carter was kind of questioning, well, is this, we just had one on the front that had an A value. But when we had it on the front with an A value, that A value was part of my GCF. And once I took my GCF out, what did I have left? I had left 1x squared. Now, you guys already told me on A here, do I have a GCF? No, you guys already told me there's no GCF here. So, but yet, I'm not done. I'm not, look at there's space here, right? I'm not leaving this problem blank. Okay? So, we're not done. Now, I believe, well, this comes back to, I have no idea what Mr. Voth teaches, but Mrs. Rogers teaches similarly on this one, I believe. This is where I teach product of AC. Okay? The idea that this is still going to factor into 2 parentheses. However, in a normal situation, if it's just x squared, we go ahead and write our 2 parentheses, and the front of each parenthesis is x and x, right? Well, that doesn't work now, because now we have more options. More options. 2x squared is 2x and x. But that affects how we're multiplying other things. So, I always start by asking for a product of AC. Now, what do I mean product of AC? What are A and C? 2 and 12. X squared is 2. C is 12. So, when I say product of AC, 2 times 12 is 24. So, we're going to be doing a product of 24. And a sum, your sum is still the same. So, it's going to be sum of the B value. What is my B value? 11. Okay, so the only difference so far is that when I'm doing my product and sum, I had an A value out here, so I have to include that as part of my product. Okay, have you figured out the pair that works? What multiplies to be 24? Yeah. If I go through my list, it's 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. Which one multiplies to be 24 and adds to be 11? 3 and 8. Okay, now, here's what's different. No, we don't just put those into the parentheses and circle our answer. Okay, how we use the 3 and 8 is we're going to use those to split your middle term. So 11x can split into 3x and 8x. Now, you have an option. You can either write it as 3x plus 8x or 8x plus 3x. As you get more experience with these, you'll decide which you prefer based on what you see. think for the benefit of making it a little easier for you guys to see, I'm actually going to write 8x plus 3x. And that's a positive 8x, right? So the numbers I just came up with, I'm using my middle term and I'm splitting my middle term. Now, besides that, your first term and your last term just carry down. So 2x squared is going to carry down out front as 2x squared. Same thing with the last term in that 12 is going to carry down. Okay? Now, how many dang it. How many terms do we have?
4.
4. I'm glad I could give you guys a heads up on that one. Okay, so a good method to factor when you have 4 terms, I don't know if you guys remember factoring by grouping.
Oh.
I don't guarantee you guys remember that, but that's what we're going to do, is we're going to factor by grouping. So I've got 4 terms, so I'm going to split those terms in half.
Oh.
Now, when I split that in half, basically what I'm saying is, okay, ignore the back 2 for a moment. 2x squared plus 8x. Can you come up with a GCF for those two? 2x. Okay, so agreed that 2 and 8 have a 2 in common. X squared and x have an x in common. There will always be an x or variable in common on these first set. So I'm going to factor out 2x from both of these terms. Now, I'm showing the division there. You don't necessarily have to. But I'm going to factor out 2x. 2x squared divided by 2x. X plus 8x divided by 2x plus 4. Okay, now repeat the process. So now it's like blocking off the first half. What do 3x plus 12 have in common? GCF of 3. And this one will usually just be a number, no variable. So now, and what kind of 3 is in common? Positive 3 or negative 3? So I'm going to put a plus 3, and I'm factoring a 3. So I'm dividing both of those by 3. 3x divided by 3? X plus 12 divided by 3.
Oh, I remember, because don't they have to be the same?
Okay. So, Carter just had his aha moment. I know. Now notice, I still have room for one more line, yes? I have not written my final answer. However, how do I know that I've possibly been successful up until this point?
Because it's x plus 4 and x plus 4.
My parentheses match.
Oh,
If you've done this correctly, the parentheses will match. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you guys. My final answer, and I'm going to box it to show you,
Oh, yes.
will look like this. 2 parentheses. But they won't be blank parentheses. What goes in those parentheses? Do you remember? One of them is x plus 4.
Oh, and 2x plus 3.
And 2x plus 3 in the other one. I agree.
I have a question.
Okay, so hold on. Let me write this down. I will get your question. So x plus 4, the matching parentheses, is one of your parentheses. If they don't match identical, you've got a mistake.
You're so smart.
Figure it out. And then
Oh, thank you.
your GCFs of 2x plus 3. Those are that's what goes in the other parenthesis. And we have just factored. It's a lot longer than when you just can do basic product and sum, but it gets you there.
That's crazy.
Okay, Jaden, your question?
Yeah, so when you divided the 2x squared divided by 2x, what did you do with the squared?
Well, since I was dividing by x, an x squared divided by an x, it's basically like you can subtract the exponents. So one of the x's divided away, just leaving you with x to the first.
Alright, but where's the 1 then? Is that just the ones that in So shouldn't it be like 1x?
Like right here, you could write 1x, but you don't need to. The fact that 2 divided by 2 is 1, you could write 1x there, but 1 is always unnecessary.
So if that top thing was like 6x, then and you could only do like 2x, right? What would be inside?
Then you would possibly have a variable, a number there. Okay, and we'll get, as we go through some more examples, we'll get to something that has a variable there. Or, excuse me, a number there. Okay. Old news, but how could I check myself?
We can like.
We could take this and FOIL it back together, multiply it back together like we did yesterday. Okay. Believe it or not, x plus 4 times 2x plus 3 would multiply back together to be 2x squared plus 11x plus 12.
So what is it outside?
First, outside, inside, last. So first thing in each parenthesis, x times 2x, which is 2x squared. Outsides, x times 3, which is 3x. Hold that thought. Insides, 4x times 2x, which is 8x. I think I said that wrong, but it's 8x. Notice 8x plus 3x is 11x. And then last, the last thing in each parenthesis, 4 times 3 is 12. So I saw some remnants of, you guys feel like you've learned that at one point.
Oh yeah. I just remember that they were the same, and I was like, I think that's important.
It is. Well, that's, again, there were some pieces I felt like, okay, you guys remembered this. Okay, let's see what we can do with B. Not saying we're going to get through it, but we're going to try it. See what happens here. 4x squared minus 4x minus 3. My first official question, is there an overall GCF? Unfortunately, no. Okay. Can I just put 2 parentheses and start them off x and x? No, because 4x squared. That could be 4x and x. That could be 2x and 2x. We don't know. So, product of, because there's an a value right here, product of what I call AC. What's product of AC say on this one? 4 times negative 3. Notice how she grabbed the negative 3. And 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. So product of negative 12 and a sum of what? Your B value, which is negative 4. Okay. What multiplies to be 12? 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. Okay. Which pair could possibly give me that negative 4? Yeah, 2 and 6. Now, think the signs through. This is important because if you put one wrong sign here, it's not going to work. So if it multiplies to be a negative, remember you need a positive and negative. So if this last sign here is negative, you need positive and negative. My middle sign is negative, means my negative sign is going on the bigger number. So that means we're going to have negative 6, positive 2. What do I do with negative 6, positive 2? Or positive 2, negative 6 if you prefer. Okay, do that thing where we split it. We are splitting the middle term, negative 4x. You can either write 2x minus 6x or negative 6x plus 2x. They'll work out differently along the way, but in the end, we'll all match up. Does that make sense?
2x minus.
So, I'm going to write 2x minus 6x. And what kind of 2x is this then? Say positive 2x.
Whoa.
Okay, now, while I'm waiting for the screen to come back, what do you do with the 4x squared? You bring it down. What do you do with the minus 3? You bring it down. So once you bring it down, you should have... Okay. So bring that 4x squared. Bring down minus 3. Notice I have 4 terms now. 4x squared plus 2x minus 6x minus 3. If you want to challenge yourself and flip those 2 middle terms and see if you can meet me in the end, you can do that. Okay. What do we do? Look at split it in half. I'm going to run out of time.
No, we're going to persevere.
Okay, split it in half. GCF of the first 2. Both of these can divide by a 2 and always an x. 4x squared divided by 2x. 2x plus, what's 2x divided by 2x? A 1. Do you need to write that 1? Most definitely. Negative 6x minus 3. They both have a 3 in common. And anytime this first number is negative, use a negative GCF. So we're going to divide by negative 3. So I'm factoring out a minus or negative 3. Negative 6x divided by negative 3. 2x. Negative 3 divided by negative 3. Plus 1. Am I done? Do I box this answer? No. Don't do all the hard work to miss this problem. My final answer is parenthesis times parenthesis. What's one of the parentheses? 2x plus 1, because my parentheses matched. We know we did something right if the parentheses match. What's my other parenthesis?
2x minus 3.
Your GCF's out front of 2x minus 3.
Oh, yeah. Oh!
Okay. I will answer questions, but I think we got it. Now, hey guys, originally this homework was due tomorrow. I don't have enough done, so I will be changing that due date, and the homework will now become due Monday, and we will finish these notes tomorrow. Everyone hear that, I hope? Virtual and non-virtual?
Wow.
Okay, thank you guys.
So
I think we should get virtual one-on-one.
how did you